Hi guys and welcome. Good morning. So we are in the kitchen today. Well, this morning or this afternoon I should say, for the least. I do have some bread to bake, so I'm gonna get started on that while the babies are asleep. Plug it in over there. Right, while the babies are asleep, I am gonna be preparing some bread with you guys, right? So let me just set up my screen. Hey guys, welcome. We just got started. What I'm going to be doing is I'm gonna be baking some bread today. So I do have my bowl here. I have my flour on the table and we're gonna get ready. I'm just getting the other things that I need on the table and then we're gonna start, right? So this container usually has sugar in it. That's really fun. Hi guys, welcome. So I was just saying that we are just getting started and we're gonna be baking bread today. So I'm gonna be making 8 loaves of bread. So I have my 2 basins here or bowls here to be able to prep that, right? So I am going to be using all-purpose flour. My flour is a big bag of flour, so I have it on the chair next to me here, right? And for my bread, I'm using 5 cups, and this is the cup that I'm using. I'm using 5 cups of all-purpose flour per 4 loaves of bread, right? So we're going to get started on that. Hi Raman, hello, welcome. So like I said, for those of you who just tuned in, I have just started. We are gonna be making, or we're gonna prep items to make bread this morning. I'm gonna be making 8 loaves of bread, and I have 2 bowls, right? I have my 2 bowls here, and I'm going to prep it as individuals. So this is gonna be for one set and this is gonna be for the next set. So for my recipe, I am using 5 cups of all-purpose flour, and this is the cup measurement that I'm using, right? I think this is a wet measurement or a wet measuring cup, but I use it for wet and dry ingredients. So I'm gonna prep and put my flour into the bowl, and I'm using all-purpose flour. Alright? So as you can see, the the cup is leveled off. I am from Trinidad, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I do not, right? So we have 5 cups of flour here, right? Next, I'm gonna get my salt is usually in this dish. So I know how to eyeball it by now, but it's usually 1 teaspoon of salt, right? So, but I usually know how to eyeball it for now. That's how I've been making it for so long, right? But it's 1 teaspoon of salt. Hi Chris, good morning. Well, good afternoon. It's afternoon here right now, and I am prepping to make bread. I am great, right? So I put in my salt. I usually have sugar in this Nesquik container, and I'm gonna be using roughly a quarter cup of sugar, brown sugar that is. Right? So our sugar is in there. Just waking up, what a delight. How was your weekend? My weekend was good. Hi Nastia, how are you going? So I'm also using 1 pack of yeast, right? I'm making bread this morning. Right? So I'm using 1 whole packet of yeast. I am making 2 batches of bread, so if you all missed it from the start, I'm going to be redoing it into the next bowl very soon. So we have our all-purpose flour, we have our salt, sugar, and 1 pack of yeast. And I'm going to give this a mix with my hands like this. Right? You just want to make sure all of your dry ingredients are fully incorporated into your flour, right? Next, I'm going to be using this brand of margarine. This is Imperial margarine. Hi, Naya. I think that's it. I'm using this brand of margarine, and it comes with 2 sticks of margarine on the inside. Hi Raz, how y'all doing today? So they usually come with 2 sticks like this. I'm going to be using half of this for 1 batch of flour, and I'm making 8 loaves of bread today, but I like to batch knead my flour, so I'm making the first batch here, and then it's naan. Hi Nan, sorry. And I am going to pop this in the microwave. So when I cut half of this, I have a little dish here. Let me just put this to the side. Open this up. Like that. Right? And I'm using half a stick of butter. So I'm gonna put this into the microwave for like about 25 to 30 seconds. In the meantime, if you live in a cold climate, what you can do is you can have you have a kettle hotted with some water, and you can mix half and half with water, right? In order for your dough to raise. However, as you can see, the place is pretty well lit today, which means we have a beautiful sunny day here today in Trinidad. So I don't need to necessarily knead with hot water or too much of a warm water, but I like to do that in order to speed up the raising process of the bread, which makes me spend a lot less time in the kitchen or on this, right? So it saves you time essentially. I enjoy your channel because you have class and natural beauty. Keep up the great content. Going to run errands. Have a good day. Thank you so very much. Thank you for coming in though. Right? So our margarine is finished, so I'm going to bring it back here, and then we are going to further discuss the water ratio, right? So we got our margarine melted, and this is what it looks like. You can pour that in there, right? And now it's time. I'm going to get another one of these cups so that we could do the water measurement, right? So for our first cup, I like to do 3/4 cups of normal plain room temperature water, and I have my kettle that has already hot water in it. So I'm gonna fill up a 1/4 cup with hot water so that my water is at a good enough temperature. This just simply helps the raising process be a lot faster. So in about an hour and a half, your bread is basically ready to go into the oven. So this is our first cup of water, and if you want, I'm not making my bread with any milk. So this is ideal for persons who is watching their dairy intake. You don't have to necessarily use milk in your bread. I'm making plain white bread today too. So that's my first cup of water. I'm gonna get some more room temperature water, and then I'm gonna fill up fill up the rest of the cup with hot water. So my bread recipes usually take 2 cups of water, or 1 cup of evaporated milk, or 1 box of evaporated milk to 1 cup of water. But I'm not putting any milk in my bread today. I'm just simply using water to knead my flour. So I do have 1 cup of water in here already, together with that margarine that we melted down. However, I am gonna mix this with my hand first and then gradually add this cup of water. Right? You don't want your dough to be too soft, and you don't want your dough to be too hard, because a stiff dough is going to give you a really dry bread. However, a soft dough is going to give you too much of a soft bread. So you want that perfect texture, in between texture, enough so that your bread is moist, maintains moisture of course, and also it just, it isn't too soft and gooey, like when you touch it, it kind of feels squishy in the hand, right? So I'm kneading my flour, right, and I'm going to gradually add this cup of water into my dough. I prefer to knead my dough by hand, simply because I get to feel the texture of the dough to know when it's ideal enough, right? So I don't use any type of mixer whatsoever to knead my flour for my bread. So I'm gradually mixing this, making sure that all the loose flour comes together into a nice big bowl. Right, just pouring this in. No, son, you don't have to. Right, just like to knead it in like that. I am going to need much more water though, so I'm gonna get that water and I'll be right back. You cook chapati, I don't know what is that. So I'm gradually adding some water, so we'll know exactly how much water I use for this recipe just now. But I do have a lot of loose flour still, so I am just mixing that in to my dough bowl. I can join you to... No. No, you cannot. You can get your ingredients and cook on your end. So today we're making bread. I still have to knead our next batch. So my dough is already coming together really nicely like that. However, you want to knead the dough for roughly around 2 to 5 minutes, right? When you have fully incorporated all that loose flour into this big bowl, you then want to knead the flour for roughly between 2 to 5 minutes. Hi, Giuseppe, I think I'm saying that correct. Right, so I'm just kneading this, and I'm to notice the technique that I'm using. I'm using the grab and using the base of the palm of my hand in order to push the dough. I am from Trinidad, and you're gonna grab and push down, and while I'm doing that, I'm actually moving the bowl so that I work my way around the dough. I'm gonna take some flour from the bag, just a little bit. High, terrific, just a little bit to get the excess flour off of my hand. Alright, we want to get all of that into the bowl there. No, I live in Trinidad. I'm from Trinidad. Just like that. So removing all the big chunks of flour, because we want that on the dough and not on our hand. And then you can go ahead and begin kneading the flour or the dough again. I'm making bread. I'm kneading flour for bread. Terrific. But I'm making 2 batches of bread today. So this is me kneading the first batch, and then I'm going to knead a second batch. And you're going to push it. Pull, push. Pull, push. That's the technique you're using. You're pulling with your fingers and pushing with this part of your hand. My children love peanut butter. My children and my husband, they love peanut butter. They love homemade bread with peanut butter. We literally have a bucket of peanut butter. I'm not even joking when I say that. Right? But my husband usually does like peanut punch and stuff like that as well. So a bucket of peanut butter is essential. Yeah, that's a lot of peanut butter. Yeah, but my husband, he does like peanut punch and beetroot punch and those sorts of punches as well. So a bucket of peanut butter is essential. Yeah. So I'm going to continue kneading the flour, because like I said, when you get it to this ball consistency, you want to knead it for around 2 to 5 minutes, and that is going to stretch that elasticity in the bread, which is exactly what we want, right? So I'm going to go ahead and knead the flour. And as you can see, my bowl, all of my flour is now into one big bowl. We have no dry flour really around the pan. That is perfect, right? If you do have, just scrape it off and include it into this big bowl here. Right, and now you can actually flip your dough over. So this is what our dough is looking like. You can see it does have some elasticity to it, which is perfect. You want to put it back into the bowl and get a damp cloth and cover it down. Yes, I am married. You are definitely new here. Right? So I'm going to get a damp or wet cloth, and the damp or your wet cloth to put over this is ideal for keeping or locking in that moisture into the bread. So as we wait for it to raise, what would happen is that damp cloth is going to keep all of that moisture in there. So when it's time to put it into the bread pans, your bread maintains that moisture, right? Yeah, thank you, terrific. Right, so I'm gonna get my cloth, wet it, and put it on top of this, and then we're gonna start that other set of bread bake. And you can take a kitchen cloth, or if you prefer to use cling wrap, you can use that as well. Right, so I'm using a regular. Yes, your husband lucky. My girlfriend never cook anything. She orders food out. Sometimes I order food when I'm tired. Okay, right? But I love to cook for my family. So my cloth is wet, and I'm going to just cover it over the bowl and set this aside, right? Making bread is something that no, the baby's asleep. Come. Making bread is something that I usually do first thing. Yeah, it's usually something that I do first thing in the morning. To simply get the baking and the heat out of the house very early. You can sit here. Right in. So yeah, no, you can stay right here. You can come right here. I like that. Yes, our doubles is ideal. Yeah. So baking bread is something that I usually like to do first thing in the morning. However, today I woke up a bit late. The baby was a bit under the weather last night, so I was up in between all times of the night with the baby, so I slept a little bit later today, so it kind of pushed back everything that I would usually do. So this is why I'm making bread this time, but usually I'm finished baking bread at this time because I love to bake bread first thing in the morning. You know, when you open the house, it's just fresh bread. That fresh bread is smelling. Yeah, I have a few Trinidad friends. They cook nice food and always give me a good. Yeah, Trinidad people, once we cook, we love to share food. Love to share food. Hi, Russell. So I have my bowl here. This is for my second batch of bread that we're making, right? And I know there's a difference in the measuring cups when it comes to wet ingredients and dry ingredients. However, for my recipe, I use the wet ingredients cup, 1 cup, to measure out my flour, because I know the dry ingredients measuring cup is different. Thank you. So I'm gonna be using 5 cups of this cup of all-purpose flour, right? So I'm gonna use 5 cups of this. So I'm gonna put this in my bowl now, and I'm using all-purpose flour. I don't use baker's flour because I like the versatility of the all-purpose flour. And when I say that, I mean to say because sometimes I would make sada roti, or I would sometimes make fry bake and puree, etc. I prefer to use the all-purpose flour than to use the baker's flour, because there isn't much versatility happening. Right? So yeah, we're gonna get started on that here. Alright, so this is cup 1. Two, 3, 4, 5. Right? I use 5 rose flour. I've never heard about that before. I prefer the all-purpose. Yeah, I prefer the all-purpose flour. Even my granny, who she bakes cake, she uses all-purpose flour as well. It is much more versatile than the baker's flour. So if I'm baking bread or you're making cake, you can simply use the all-purpose flour. Don't put that on your tablet. My daughter likes to be in the kitchen with me, right? When I'm baking bread, eat your biscuits, right? So now we're moving on to salt, and this dish I usually have salt in it, regular white salt, because I'm accustomed baking bread. I know the ratio, but if it is that you're using a measurement, it's 1 teaspoon of salt. Yeah, she likes to play around in the flour a bit. You know, it's that they are that age where they like to feel different textures happening and stuff. So yeah, right? So we have our salt. I'm gonna be using 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and I use brown sugar for my bread. And this container just simply has brown sugar in it. Alright, so we put that brown sugar in there. Next we're gonna get a packet of yeast, right? This is just gonna minimize my clean up your tablets. Go and wipe it. Let Michael give you a wipes. Alright, I'm using 1 packet of yeast, instant yeast, and this is the brand that we are using. There's another brand called Puree pan. I use it from time to time when I don't get this brand. However, the Puree pan releases a sense of like that strong alcohol, that strong yeasty alcohol smell, and it isn't from allowing the bread to just raise for too long. The bread could raise for like 30 minutes and it still releases that strong yeasty smell. And I don't like my bread to smell yeasty, because it tends to, what I've noticed over the time, it tends to spoil the bread faster. So I don't like using it. I would use it if I have to, but if I'm getting the brand that I like, I would always go for this brand. This is the Bruggerman instant dry yeast. Alright, I'm putting 1 packet of yeast in there. This recipe does not have any milk in it. I'm just using some margarine. This is the brand that I'm using, Imperial margarine. It comes with 2 sticks, and I use half a stick for the first one. So I'm just gonna pop this in a dish and pop it in the microwave for like 30 seconds, and then I'm gonna put it into my mixture here. Right, so I'm going to give my dry ingredients a good mix. Make sure all of those dry ingredients are fully incorporated into the flour. All right, and like I said, I mix with my hand simply because I prefer to feel out the texture of my bread. So when I'm kneading it, I prefer to know that I've reached the ideal texture than to have it into a mixing machine like a KitchenAid, etc. I prefer to feel it out. Thank you, son. Right? So now that my dry ingredients is fully mixed in, I'm going to add in my wet ingredients. So I have my, for those of you who just tuned in, I'm making white bread. I have my melted margarine here. I'm going to put that into the bowl there. And I'm going to prepare my wet ingredients. So I used roughly 2.5 cups of water. If you prefer milk in it, milk gives it a much softer and creamier texture and taste as well. However, I know there are some persons that cannot have any type of milk at all, so this bread is ideal for that. So for that, you're gonna use roughly 2.5 or 2.25 cups of water, right? So we're just gonna do that. And this is our first cup. So what I would usually do for my water, when I am kneading flour, some days the place is cold and raining. And this works for if you live in cold climates as well. You can mix 3/4 cup of regular water and 1/4 cup of hot water, and you're gonna get that perfect temperature of water in order to knead your flour, and the raising time is a lot shorter, right? So I'm going to get our next cup and we're going to gradually add that second cup of water into our dough while we knead it. Right? So I'm going to knead this first. And then I'm going to gradually add in my next cup of water. You don't want to add in all the water all at once because you want to be able to have control of your dough. That's simply what it is. Alright, so I'm gradually adding in my water. And I do have a recipe. I think there's 3 recipes on my page with me making bread. There's one with the evaporated milk incorporated into the bread, which is the original dish. Use a Mark II inhaler. Yeah, I have to. Right? And then there's one without milk, which is the one that we are essentially making right now. So that's what we're doing here. Oh, piece of dough fell out. And you want to gradually mix your dough. I was feeling slightly a bit under the weather over the weekend. Also, for those of you who didn't get a chance, I actually do cut my husband and my son's hair, and I actually showed that on my page Saturday night. It was pretty late though, because one, it was Saturday's my Sabbath, so I generally don't film or record anything or even go live on the Sabbath until late in the night when it's finished. And also I have been having to cut my husband and my son's hair since last week Thursday, but you know, having young children, the plans can change pretty quickly, and that's fine. We just need to kind of learn to adapt and work around it. Right? So yeah, you can join by getting your ingredients and joining me to knead some flour. Alright, so my bowl still has a lot of loose flour in it. I'm gonna pour in the excess water. So that's 2 cups of water that we have already poured in there. And when I say 2 cups, it comes up to the line there. Just enough for the spout, for it to go into the spout to be poured over. We are going to need more water, so I'm going to get some more water. Because I know I only need about a 1/4 cup, I did not entirely fill the cup up all the way. I did at one point have a bread maker. I didn't fancy it. Simply because one, all the ingredients was not mixed well into the bread itself, and then it gives you one loaf of bread. So it served its purpose at the point in time, but I ended up giving it to a friend. Simply because one, my family, it's a family of 1, 2, 3. It's a family of 5. Actually 6. So baking one bread is gonna finish in a daytime, and then I'm gonna have to make bread the next day again. So baking 4 loaves of bread actually saves me time. I get to not have to bake. I baked bread on Thursday or Friday. I baked bread on Thursday of last week, and I'm now baking bread. However, my children ate a lot. My children and I, we ate a lot of bread over the weekend. We love bread. So this saves us money. And fun fact, I never started baking bread until my husband showed me how to bake bread. So he was the one that used to actually bake bread, and then he taught me how to bake it, and I took it over from then. So you just want to take off that excess dough off of your hands. Make sure it's incorporated into your dough. There are persons that have asked me to start back selling bread. We used to sell bread at 1.2. When my husband used to bake it, we used to sell bread, and then there are persons that have purchased bread from me directly. And just weekend, someone was asking me if we're baking bread to sell. It's something that I guess we could talk about, because I love baking bread, but I do have to get a new oven. The igniter on my oven is giving a little trouble, or it gives trouble from time to time. Thank God it has been working really well for me these days, but I do eventually have to get a new oven, because I love to bake. I love to bake bread. I also do cinnamon raisin bread for my family. They love that. That bread is a hit. I didn't have any raisins, so I purchased, when I went to the shop on Friday, I purchased some raisin bread, and my husband was like, didn't you make this the other day? Why are you buying it? But I didn't have the ingredients for it, but it's usually a hit in the house too, and that's a recipe that I have to actually share with you guys. So when I go to the grocery store and I pick up raisins and stuff that I need first, I'll definitely come back and show you guys how I make my raisin bread. Well, cinnamon raisin bread, I should say. Right, so this one is a little bit dry, so that's why I'm dipping my hand into the water and kneading the flour a bit, because I am experiencing some dry grains onto the dough, which essentially is going to give us a dry bread, and we don't want that. We want a really nice moisturized bread, soft, fluffy. And another way is, if you do have a deep freeze, you can bake bread and store them in the freezer. And a simple hack in order for them to come back out very nice and soft, you can, once you know you need bread for the next day, you take it out of the deep freeze and put it into your fridge, right, and allow it to slowly thaw out. If you want, you could just pop it into the oven for roughly like around 10 minutes to get that fresh out the oven bread taste and smell and texture, but it's not necessary. So I'm just gonna knead my flour. Now we're kneading for roughly around 2 to 5 minutes. And I'm using my fingers to pull and the palm of my hand to push the dough in, while I am also simultaneously turning the bowl. You want to make sure that you have gotten all of your dry or loose flour into this dough bowl. It's going to create a really nice elasticity into your bread. Right, so as you can see, we could actually lift up our bread out of it, so which means it isn't too sticky and it isn't too dry, because we don't have flour falling off back into the bowl. So this is what our dough looks like. I'm going to put it into the pan and I'm going to get a cloth, wet it, and we're going to cover it down and allow this to bloom. So I've got my wet cloth and I'm going to cover this down. I'm going to bring back the other one to show you how it has already started raising. So this one has already started doubling in size. Looks beautiful. It has started to kind of spread out. So that is what we want. So I'm going to cover this back and allow this to raise for a little bit longer. Right, so we're going to then kind of clean up our workstation a bit, because we do have to come back and reuse this same workstation in order to put the bread in pans. So I'm going to clean up, discard of some things. As the mommy, you know, you have to eat what the children leaves back. So I'm not going to wait. So I'm just cleaning down my space, putting things in the bin as well as putting things in the sink. I'm also trying to take this opportunity to do what I have to do while the baby sleeps. So in this spray bottle, what I would usually do is I would put in dishwashing liquid as well as all-purpose Fabuloso disinfectant, and then fill up the rest with water. And this is usually my multi-purpose cleaner to spray on tables, counters, everything, and it doesn't damage the surfaces. So I'm just spraying that across my table. I truly like my surfaces clean as soon as I'm finished using it. Sometimes, however, that doesn't happen how I'd like it to all the time. Alright, so my surface is clean now. Today isn't essentially a cooking day, it's more of a baking day. Tomorrow I will have to cook. I'm not sure what the menu is going to be for tomorrow though. I have to plan that out, and depending on what it is, I will be able to come live and show you guys what I'm doing. Alright, so I'm going to take, because I have some ways to wash out now, so I'm going to take you guys by the sink with me to wash out some ways. Like I say, I prefer to have my space pretty clean. So this morning I didn't get a chance to wash out the wares. I was doing multiple things all at once, making sure I get my husband ready for work, as well as you know, tending to my other children and the baby as well. Right, so I'm gonna clean up these ways here, because I don't like to have ways into the sink at all, but sometimes it happens, you know. So I'm just gonna clean up my ways so that my sink area could be clean. And another hack my husband taught me is that if it is you cannot wash the wares right now, pull up one side of the sink and drop the wares in it to minimize any flies or anything, because it is a Caribbean household, which means the house is usually open out. So like today I have my windows open, the sun is out, and I like the fresh air. So I don't always have on the AC in the house. So when that tends to happen, in order to minimize flies and stuff being in your surface or just being in your space, pull up one side of your sink and drop your wares in them. It's going to take off the food or excess food that might be a bit hard to come off of your plate or your dishes and stuff. It takes them off really fast. Right, so that's what's happening on this side of the sink. Yes, we have AC in all the rooms except one in the house. So all our rooms have AC except one. We still have to fix up one of the rooms. So yeah. But I like the fresh air from time to time, so yeah. We currently have one vehicle so far. I still have to go get my license. So I'm the passenger queen for the time being. But it's something that plan to work on for the coming year. So yeah. Yeah, we have a vehicle. That's how, you know, we go around. You'll see us driving, doing a host of different things. Right, because I want to be able to, there are some times where I would be able to use the vehicle, drop my husband to work. He works different times as he's in national security. So yeah, so me ensuring that I have my license would be able to, you know, when on days when he's tired and he works late, I could probably go pick him up with the children, and you know, he doesn't have to worry about driving because I work from home. So I never knew I had a cat face. So that is new to me. My son also usually helps out with the dishes. However, he is on a different task right now, folding clothes. So I like my kitchen area clean. So I'm doing it now while I have the time. Thank you. I'm just washing all the dishes. I truly like my space to be clean, so this is gonna be ideal. Needless to mention, I just want to tell you all thank you so very much for, you know, being on my page, engaging on my page. We are currently almost to 4,000 watch hours. We are. So yeah, for those of you who know about YouTube's requirements, you all would know that 4,000 watch hours is a huge accomplishment. I have actually been on YouTube for the past 3 years. So I started my journey on YouTube 3 years ago after I gave birth to my daughter. And it has truly been a roller coaster of emotions when it comes to running a YouTube page. It was not something that I actually intended to do. I was pretty shy in front of the camera. I did not like speaking like this in front of the camera. So I would have usually like recorded videos and then just did voiceovers. So for me to be in front of the camera, I felt awkward, I felt very shy, and then through time and practice and just constantly doing it over and over, my husband doing a lot of pep talks with me, because it was not something that was always it wasn't something that I was always easy to do, you know. And yeah, that journey has finally been paying off. And like I said, there were plenty days that, you know, there was a roller coaster of emotions. I cried a lot, out of frustration, out of simply, you know, feeling like the content wasn't good enough. And that eventually grew out of me doing it over and over. The confidence grew, and then, you know, by extension the audience grew, and I grew, or I had a very, how to put it, I had a very genuine YouTube following, which persons would check in on me ever so often, and it felt much safer to, you know, come and speak to you all, to come and communicate with you all, just talk to you all like how we are live. And you know, eventually it grew on me, but it wasn't something that was always, it wasn't something that I always wanted to do. Not at all. I could tell you that from the jump. My husband spoke to me on numerous occasions, tried to convince me all how, and I started by posting shorts. I started with my daughter's birthing story, and I still have my son's birthing story, my two sons' birthing story to come and share with you all, because each brought different emotions, each brought out different feelings. My first son, that is, you know, now stepping into motherhood, juggling school, because I was finishing my degree when I had him. So that in itself is a different story to tell. And then my last son's birthing story is I got to have him home. So I could tell you from the jump, that was a beautiful experience, and I had wonderful nurses with me to take me along that journey. And it was something, if you can have a at-home birthing experience, it is something that I would definitely recommend, because let me tell you something, that was something only God could give you that experience. It was a really nice experience. So, you know, essentially, I still have those stories to tell on my page, and I started my YouTube page with that story, like with my daughter's birthing story, and then some facts that I thought persons needed to know about breastfeeding, because I breastfed my daughter up until the day that I gave birth to my last son. So I breastfed for 2 years, you know. So I started my page with that type of content, as well as I started, hello, let's alt. So I started my page with that type of content, and eventually over time I started showcasing, you know, little shopping hauls that I would do with my family. Then my husband said, hey, let's showcase, you know, or what do you think about showcasing little family vlogs, you know, us going out, us doing things. And my content changed over time, where I showed a little bit of everything, and I started to show it as, oh, my YouTube became my personal diary. And it is something that I look back on, because, you know, it's a way to leave memories for your family. And I started doing that as well, with showcasing my traditional Trinidad recipes and sometimes my twist on them. And that is what I did on my page. That is the type of content that I initially started with on YouTube. And then I had a separate page actually for my hair and makeup, because I am into beauty and that's what I do. So I do hair, I do makeup, braids, weave, natural hair, the works. And then, you know, it was, you know, me showing different lives, and I was like, okay, why not merge them together? So that's when I decided, okay, I'll come and show you guys some of the things that I do as work, because yes, I am a stay-at-home mom, but I also do beauty. Beauty is my business, and I decided to show you guys a little bit of that. Yes, see you later, Russell. So I started to showcase you guys a little bit of that side of me, and a lot of you all responded by liking it. Persons, responded saying, listen, I didn't know you do this. I didn't know you were into makeup. I didn't know you do these things. I thought you would just go and get your makeup done when you're going out. And I was like, no, I actually do it myself. So it was good to show that side of me. And then, I kind of just said, okay, let's incorporate everything into one page so that people know who I am. People know what I do, and they develop a certain level of respect, a certain level of, even some persons, a certain level of admiration to know, you do this, right? So it is something that I have grown to like and enjoy, and I genuinely built a community where y'all enjoy that journey with me. So it is a pleasure to show you guys, little bits and pieces of my life. But one of our bread is ready to go in pan, so let's get back by the table now that majority of my wares is washed up. We're gonna go back by the table and put the bread in, butter the pans and put the bread into pans. So let's go. Let's go, guys. No, you gotta come on this side. Right, so I'm just setting back up by the table here because I'm finished by the sink. I want to plug in my phone to charge as well, just so that this is my first son, right? He is, how old are you? 8? He's 8 years old, so I have been a mom for the past 8 years. Right, so I'm getting my bread pans. And you're gonna take some margarine, right? And you're gonna butter your bread pans. So remember I said we're making 8 bread, so I'm gonna butter 8 bread pans. Putting them out so that it's easier for me to get them to butter them. Right, so I have my 8 pans out. I'm going to use some margarine, and you want to generously butter your pans that you're going to put the bread in. This is going to allow your bread not to stick to the pan, so it's easier to come off of the pans once it's finished baking. Right, so we have our margarine. You're just going to take some and just spread it all over the dish. Right, so just like that, one pan is done. So yeah, let me know what type of content that you all are interested in seeing on my page, because I would have given you all a little backstory of, you know, how I started my page and the type of content that I started on my page. And throughout that, I, you know, maintained doing the cooking, also showcasing some of the things that I do with my family, and also I introduced beauty. And y'all are also seeing another part of my life where my husband does photography. So I would come, and after I get my makeup done, depending on where we're going, we get, or how, you know, the time that we're moving with, I showcase you guys a little bit of photo shoot sessions with my husband. So let me know what type of lives you all even like to, you know, see, and I can maybe introduce it onto my page. Once, you know, it's you know, ideal for YouTube, noting that my page is family oriented. So I'm just buttering my 8 dishes before I bring the bread across. Let's have 3 more to do, and then we're gonna bring the dough across. So hi guys, for those of you who are new here, welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the type of content that I post. Also, what time are you guys usually on for for YouTube live, so that I would know which is the ideal time to go live? I have an idea of what works for me, but for those of you who are interested in live type content, what time, based on where you live, what time do you all like to see lives? So all our pans have been buttered. I'm going to take some flour and put it onto my table, just lightly, not too much. I'm going to bring my bread across. So that first bread, that first dough that we made, this is how it has almost tripled in size. It has almost filled the pan. I don't like it to raise too much because then it releases that yeasty smell. So I'm going to put this onto my table right here, and you see how easy it came off, which means that our dough had the right amount of moisture and dryness to it, so which means it didn't stick to the pan and it didn't flop onto the table, right? So I'm going to separate this into 4 equal parts, or as equal as you could get it. If it is you have, if it is you have a scale to measure, you can measure it out to, you know, be very specific, but you don't need to. So we have 4 parts, and what I like to do is I like to make them into balls. So on the drier side, you're gonna put it like this, all to the center and keep pinching it till it comes to the center like this. And as you can see, our dough is very nice and smooth. Look at that. It has the right amount of softness because it's coming all the way back up. Right? Put that to the side. Do the same thing. Like that. Flip it over. Nice and moist. Notice my hands aren't sticking to the dough, which is exactly what we want. So the water to flour ratio was ideal. Alright, same thing on this side. Now pinch it together. All the way around. Right, and I like to do that before I roll them into dough, into the shape of the bread. Sorry. So I'm doing that. Run it all the way around like this. Too close now. Change it. Right? Just want to put my dough on this side. Come on this side. Right? So we're starting with that first loaf. And you want to flatten it out like that. You can use a rolling pin for this if you want to be very specific in terms of with the shape and stuff, but it usually, when it goes into the pan and it starts to raise, it starts to take the proper shape of the pan, so you don't necessarily need to do that. But if you want to do it for the aesthetic, then by all means. And then you want to roll it this way. Right, and just like that, we have our first loaf done. Setting that aside, grab another one, open it out, and I'm using the tip of my fingers to spread it and open it out. Right? Roll it all the way. Like that. Doing another one. Openly spreading it and rolling it. Another one. Gonna repeat the same step with the last one. Right. Rolling it. Next one. So when you have put them into pans, you want to ensure that you put them somewhere to raise again and cover them down with a damp cloth, because this part is very crucial. If your dough raises and it dries out, when it goes into the oven, it's gonna dry out even more, because obviously you're baking it, so your flour is gonna be really dry, and that doubles as your bread is gonna be dry. So you want to make sure you cover down with a wet or a damp cloth, depending on where you live. Right? So our bread iron pans, and I'm gonna move it onto the next side so that they could raise effectively where there's a lot more heat. Right, I'm getting my damp cloth. I have to get another cloth. Now remember, I said that I'm making 8 loaves of bread. So this is my second batch of flour that I have prepared here, and this is already ready to go in pans. So I'm just putting the bread pans to the side and cover this, and you can see it has doubled in size. I'm gonna get a little sprinkle of flour, sprinkle it onto the table just so that my dough doesn't dry out or doesn't stick to the table, right? And we're gonna empty out our dough onto the table. Right, like that. And we're gonna cut them into 4 equal parts. If you want to get specific and you have a scale, you can measure it out, but I kind of just eyeball it by now. Alright, and we are just gonna fold them in like this. Squeeze them together to close up where we just fold in, right? And you have a nice soft dough. No, I'm making bread. I'm making bread. I do have a roti, I do have a sada roti recipe on my page too, but I'm making bread today. Alright, so I'm just pinching the top and going around to seal it off. I'm going to rest that onto the table or your counter, wherever you're working from, and then we're going to come back and roll it out. And like I said, I'm trying to do all of this while the baby sleeps, so this is the ideal time for me to get a lot of things done, right? This is our third one, and this is the last one. You cut hair, man, what don't you do? You cut hair, cook, clean, mother, be a mother. Oh. God, because some days I am tired and exhausted, and you know, those are some of the days where I do take a little bit of a break and you all may not see me come live, you know. So now we're gonna roll this out, and I'm spreading it with my hands. If you want to spread it with a rolling pin, you could do that, but I kind of just be able to do this freely now because I've been doing it for quite a while. But you can use a rolling pin for aesthetic, whatever works for you. I'm just using my fingertips to spread it open and gently rolling it.
Mommy, how do you do it?
Alright? One done.
Want to do it?
What you want to do? You want to pinch it? You want to pinch it? Yeah? Alright, we do the next one together. Alright? Yes, sir. Alright, and I'm gonna roll it. My daughter is pinching the dough on this side here. Alright. Open it out. Like that. There we go. it's when it raises more in the pan, it's going to take the shape of the pan, it's going to take the shape of the bread, so you don't necessarily need to roll it thin all the way out. You're just giving it a rough, open out. If you don't know how to do it, you can use a rolling pin. If you don't know how to do it with your hands, you can use a rolling pin, that's fine. Right? And today we have a really nice sunny weather, so it's gonna raise fast. I took roughly like half an hour to 40 minutes to knead the 2 sets of dough, and it raised in like half an hour as a whole. I'm trying to do as much as I could do while the baby sleeps in terms of prep. So this bread most likely would last me till the end of the week, because I made 8 loaves of bread today. Usually when I make 4 loaves, it lasts me till like Wednesday or Thursday, because we love bread. We love bread. We eat bread with everything. Yeah. And if I have bread like more longer than Friday, I will make a next set of bread or a next 2 sets of bread, so that we don't have to purchase bread. Because we love bread, my children love bread. Even when they are snacking, they like to ask for bread. It saves us money from buying bread, because 1 loaf of bread is like $17 or $18, and to buy 4 loaves of that, no, it's not sustainable in the long run, so yeah. And for someone who isn't going to consume all of this bread, if you do make more than 4 loaves of bread, you can freeze your bread and just take them out, put them into your fridge, and they're going to be thawed out for you to use. But if you want that fresh oven type bread, when you take it out of when you put it into the fridge overnight, you can simply pop it into the oven for like 10 minutes. 15 minutes is too long. 10 minutes, and it's going to give you that nice fresh bread aroma. Right? So I'm going to put this on the next side. It's a Caribbean household, so Caribbean household tends to eat a lot of bread. Right, so now it's just time to kind of clean up my space. So yeah, you're extremely frugal, smart. Yeah, I used to live off of bread and cheese out there. I wish we had that type of cheese in the States. My family that lives in the States, when they come down, that's one of the things they ask for: cheese off the bat. We want a piece of cheese to carry back, and I can understand why. I love bread and cheese too. Love it. I love bread and cheese. I love toast bread with butter, and I also like to do like grilled cheese. So yeah, bread is a top thing. Love it too bad. And then as obviously as your family grow bigger, you want to be able to do things that is gonna be sustainable for your budget, for your money. And over time, discussing certain things with my husband. So like I was saying earlier, my husband is the one that actually started baking bread, and then he showed me how to bake bread, and then I did my own spin-off on it, and then I started taking over baking bread because he is very busy with work. So it is something that grew on me, and I learned to love making bread, and now I love making bread. Love it. And like I was saying, I want to be able, I usually also do like a cinnamon raisin loaf. My family, we love that, and that is a recipe that I have not shown on my page as yet. That's why you're doing YouTube as well, huh? What's that? Why you think I'm doing YouTube as well? I'm doing YouTube to show one, our Trinidad recipes. Two, it's also my digital journal where I showcase or collect my memories. That is the byproduct of it. The income is the byproduct of it, but it's also a digital diary for me, and it's a way that my children could look back and see recipes, or see how I would showcase them how to do certain things. And also family that I have in the States, because some of my cousins that live out there, they would call me from time to time and ask me how to do certain things. And since I've started YouTube, they have actually gone to my YouTube page to see year in year out how I do certain things, like when I make pastel, when I bake bread. They love fry bake as well, so they would show how, they would go to see how I make fry bake and stuff. So over time, it has a lot of purposes. My main purpose is my digital diary. The extra income came after some time, because like I was saying earlier on, I have been on my YouTube page for the past 3 years. So it wasn't being monetized, wasn't something, the first thing that I thought about doing, and it just came with, constantly posting and constantly doing the content. So yeah. And there were persons that genuinely came to my page and enjoyed my content over time, and I grew a community. And there were persons that asked me time and time again, could we have this type of recipe? I have 3 children. Time and time again, can I, show them how to do this? Can I show them how to do that? And it's a way for me to connect with people from different parts of the world, And I have grown a really nice community over the time being on YouTube. 1 second. Right, so I'm just gonna get the baby and come back. He is awake. I'm checking the baby cam. 1 second.
Baby camera.
Here.
I set a baby camera.
So it's a journal, so your kids can look back almost like a digital. Yes, that's what it is. And also, by extension, being a digital journal, my daughter looks at, especially my makeup videos, my daughter looks at my makeup video and like, mommy, you're doing makeup, and she's 3 and she watches those videos and can see how I do makeup. So if she decides to do makeup when she gets older, there's that reference. I haven't fed him as yet. But he isn't a child that as soon as he wake up, you have to feed him. Alright? So yeah, so it's a digital journal, and the monetization came after. I'm very close to 4,000 watch hours though, but yeah, but it first and foremost, YouTube has been a roller coaster of emotions, because there were times that I didn't feel like recording. There were times that genuinely I was too shy to come and start going live, and over time it changed. Over time it changed. So, you know, doing it consistently, things changed, and I enjoy the content. I really do enjoy going live and talking with you guys, because then I get you know, in real time feedback, what y'all are thinking about the type of content that I post, some suggestions that y'all may even have. I get that real interaction with you guys, because sometimes not necessarily everyone goes back to watch the content that I post. So going live helps me to connect with you all at a faster pace, you know. So that works for me. That really works for me right now. Bring our wife some more, please, son. I have prepared the bread. The bread is already in the pan. I'm waiting for it to raise in order for she and their learning. Yeah. So I'm waiting for it to raise in the pans in order for me to put them into the oven. Yeah, so that's what it is for me. It's a way also when my husband wants to see how I cook certain things. Yeah. Also when my husband wants to see how I cook certain things, he goes to my channel and see how I cook different recipes. So, you know, it's a way for me to document things digitally, and not only writing them down, because I am working on a cookbook, but you know, being able to see it happen in real time. And I try to record, or when I'm doing voiceovers, even if it's a short form video, you know, you get to see real time results. So, or explain it as much as possible to happen in real time, so that you get an idea of what's going on or what you have to do, and you can make your tweaks along the way. So essentially that's what it is. So it serves different purposes, and for those of you who, you know, you all will have different opinions or different ways of looking at YouTube and what is being posted on YouTube. But for me, that's what it is first and foremost. You know, that's what it is. Like, I am Hi Narat. Good to have you. Hope you like and subscribe. So yeah, I know persons just come to YouTube for to be able to make money, but like I said, I've been on YouTube. My journey has been for the last 3 years. And I could tell you it's 3 years because I've started YouTube when I gave birth to my daughter a few months after. So I've started YouTube a little while after I gave birth to her. And she's 3 now. So, and I only just actually, you have speak more than the comments. I like to respond to persons that ask me questions in my comments. So my children are 8 years, 3 years, and 7 months. So yeah, I have been on YouTube for the last 3 years, and it's only this year that, actually last month, that I've met the first requirements for monetization, which being the super chats and the super stickers, super thanks, etc. I didn't have that before, so it was me genuinely posting content so that I could connect with you all and share parts of me and parts of our lives. So yeah, what else? So yeah, this isn't something that, just started just like that, right? And I genuinely built a community of 1,000 subscribers even before I got super chats. So yeah, some folks eat milk and be farting all day. Load that down for me, please. So yeah, everybody's content is different. I got my 1,000 subscribers way before I had super chats, early on last year, or could be middle of the year, and I built on that, and that was a community of persons genuinely interested in what I was posting, because at that time I was hardly going live, and then I decided to post more in real time content with the lives, and the lives afforded me to do that. And that's why I kept going live, because I've realized that while I do record, persons like the real-time interaction. And once my husband is home from work, because my husband does a lot of my videography for me and with the recording with our camera and stuff, so he would once he's home, he records the process for me to post to my page after the live. So there are persons that like the pre-recorded content, and then there are lots of persons that like the in real time action happening here, or interaction I should say. And I try to balance it off and give everybody a little bit of what they like, while still maintaining what my page is naturally about. So that's what it is for me. That's what it is for me. And like I said, I had a separate page where I would showcase hair and makeup, and then I was like, you know what, let me just integrate that into this page, because this page, I usually call this page at home my mom's page, where I'm being a mom, I'm being a wife, and I'm showcasing things that I do with that title. And persons were really interested in how my makeup looks. Yeah, Michael, play with his tablet, you play with yours. You want to play with your toys? Okay, go wash your nose. Go wash your nose. That Michael put on the light fair, right? So that is what I did on my page. So I would call this page my mom's page, and I would show how I prep things as a wife, as a mom. And I said, you know what, let me integrate my beauty onto the page, or the beauty aspect of my life, or the business beauty aspect of my life. And y'all have been loving that. So it is something that I'm continuing to do, because it's something that y'all like. So, and then of recent, I started showing, a little behind the scenes of the things that my husband does. And um, persons have been enjoying that, because when I go on jobs with my husband, because outside of national security, he does photography and videography work. So outside of that, I still, we get to go very nice scenic places in Trinidad, and I showcase that on my page, those scenic places, those scenic beautiful places. So I've shown a little bit behind the scenes of that, but he has a separate page for those of you who are interested in photography type work or videography type work, and that's Authentic Photography TT, right? So you can check him out on all social media platforms, and yeah, so that's essentially what my page is about, what I am about, and how everything started. And I have been trying to find out from y'all. You ain't lying, Trinidad has some beautiful scenic spots. I'll go check him out now. Yeah, so sometimes on his page as well, he shows how to edit photography pictures in Photoshop and Lightroom, etc. So that's the type of content y'all are gonna see across on his page, right? And my vlogs or my lives would show some of the places we go, right? So yeah, it's a give and take. So we try to work together as much as possible. 1 second. So like my previous live I did last week Sunday is we were at Botanical Gardens in Port of Spain for a photo shoot from him that he was on, and I got to showcase, the beautiful botanical gardens in Trinidad, and persons got a little behind the scenes of him working, as well as we stopped for snow cone there as well. So I showcased that as well, So I like to show a little bit of my life with my family, and it's essentially my digital journal or my digital diary. And my children, from time to time, they would look back at my videos after I've posted them and be like, "Mommy, you did this," and they would sit and watch it, depending on how long the video is, and be like, "That's my mommy." And you want your children to be genuinely proud of, or for you to be a role model for them, just like they are different persons, and our children watch them and be like, "That's my role model." But are you as a parent setting an example for them as a role model, and are you proud of it? And my children watch back at my content and see that. So yeah, wanna play? You wanna play? You wanna play? Yeah, so like the baby's teething right now, so he was feeling a little bit under the weather over the weekend. So when you have teething baby, how they are, they experience different things. Yeah, Authentic Photography TT, thank you so very much. So yeah, he would showcase how to do different things on YouTube where photography is concerned, but we are working together with showcasing some of those scenic places that we go when we do go on jobs. So you all may see that on my page, but it's something that he's actually going to integrate on his page as well. you know. Bring Shalama juice in the fridge for now, please. Yeah, so you know, I genuinely love sharing my content with you guys, and my recipes as well. So I hope you all enjoy them, because for my extended family, I know they use them as reference, and too, when they can't get y'all still got pack juice. Yeah, I actually, you know, I haven't bought it in a while, but we had some neighbors and they had children, and their children were playing with our children, and they brought all these pack juice, and I was like, this is still a thing, because I loved pack juice. I used to buy a lot of pack juice when I was going to school. So I didn't even realize that was still a thing, like it was still out there. Yeah. So I am just waiting for my bread to raise. I think I'm seeing some of them raising really nicely. So I'm gonna check on them, and if they are raised to a good enough height and stuff, I'm gonna start to prep my oven. Hi Samuel, how are you doing? Alright, so I'm just gonna check that bread and I'll be right back. So for those of you who were here when we put them in pans, look at them. They are risen. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cover them back down, and I'm gonna organize my oven to be able to put them into the oven, right? Right, so I'm gonna prep my Stevie K official. You have arrived late to the dance. I was in the kitchen. I was organizing bread, so I'm making 8 loaves of bread today, right? So my bread has already risen in the pans, and I'm gonna actually prep my oven. So you are late to the dance. So I'm just waiting. Oops, yeah. So I'm just waiting for the my ooh, we dropped off. 1 second. Yeah. So I'm just waiting for my oven to go off. In order to put the bread to bake. But yeah, you're late to the dance, man. So once my oven goes off, what I usually do is I would bake my bread at, it used to be 375 degrees for like roughly 35 minutes. Now I usually bake it at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes, right? And they come out nice, brown, and beautiful. Yeah, so I'm just waiting for the oven to go off, but I do have to clean up my table, and we'll begin. 1 second. So let me position the camera back here, because I have to spray down my table, right? And like I said, in this container, cook while you clean. Well, I have to cook tomorrow. I'm not cooking today, I'm cooking tomorrow. I'm baking today. Usually on the days that I bake, I don't cook. Also, I cooked yesterday, so I don't have to cook today. I still have some leftovers. And we eat leftovers, so I don't have to cook every day for like fresh food. You need to eat fresh food now. Sometimes even our leftovers taste better than the day you cook them. So and actually recently my family have been loving as a meal stewed chicken gravy and bread. Love it. Right, so my table is cleaned down. I'm just organizing my oven. Yeah, so most days when I have to bake, I just bake alone because you know, in terms of managing the time that I have with doing other things. So yeah. Oh, I was supposed to bring the bread across. Let me bring the bread across on the table so that y'all can see how they would have raised. That's what I was gonna do. So let me set up this space. So like I said, I'm making 8 loaves of bread. Look at how nice and full the bread has filled the pans. So let me bring them across. This is another 2, right? And I'm just waiting for my oven to heat up so that we can put them to bake. So I don't want to uncover them as yet, so want to make sure that we keep them covered with the wet cloth. And when it goes into the oven, it will raise again. This is another 2. And this is another 2. I'd like to see those cinnamon raisin loaves. You were so, yeah, I have to make them. I have to get the ingredients to make them though. Well, I have to get raisins for that matter in order to bake them for you. They go good with butter, but let me tell you something. My children eat them just as is. They don't add anything else to it. They just eat it like that. They just love that plain. It's one of their favorite things to have. So my oven usually takes roughly 15 minutes to heat up. So that is what I'm waiting on to put the bread into the oven. And I'm gonna bake them at 400 degrees for 20 minutes, 20-25 minutes, because some of them may take, depending on where it is. Yeah, butter is awesome. I love to put butter on my bread and then toast it. Let me tell you something where it gets that nice brown crispiness, almost like how you would make French toast, just with butter alone. Listen, top tier. Top tier. So yeah, that's, that's how it is. So let me know, so I know. Let me take a note of that one time. I have my book here. So I'm gonna write down the recipe to make on the page. There's my pen. Have something for you, so that I don't forget. What other recipes you all want to see? So I wrote down the cinnamon raisin loaf. Because that is, listen, oh my gosh. As I said, I purchased one on Friday, and my husband was like, didn't you make this the other day? They prefer the homemade version. 1 second, guys. The baby wants mommy. So I actually want to show you guys the full time. So roughly we took 2 hours to have everything ready bread wise, and yeah, 2 hours to prep and allow it to raise in the two different forms, which is as a whole and then in the pans. And then baking time is usually 20 minutes. Say hi. Say hi. Yeah. So yeah. Still have some things to do in the house once the bread is finished, but that would essentially be it. Messages? Thank you. You want me to eat this? Oh. Thank you so much. Michael?
Yeah.
Did you take out some juice for your sister? There's more? Okay. I'll make some more just now. Right? Yeah. So our oven should go off soon. Should reach the ideal temperature really soon. Do you like pasta at all? Yeah, well, pasta with like milk, like how they make like Alfredo type pastas. I'm not really a fan of it because too much milk and cheese for me does not go well. But I like spaghetti, I like macaroni, and I do make minced beef and stuff. I have to try it with like tomato sauce and stuff. So yeah. Did you send me the email with the cookbook though? Because I know you asked for the email, but I don't think I saw an email with the cookbook. Because I looked out for it to see what recipes it had in it. You'll find me eating a lot of, yeah, of course, I still have to send it, yeah. So you'll find me eating a lot of things with chicken in it. I don't eat pork or shrimp and lobster and those things. So I don't eat any of those seafood type things. I will eat fish from time to time, but it's not something that I indulge in all the time. Yeah. So you're not gonna find much or any recipes at all on my page where shrimp and lobster and those sorts of things are concerned, or pork, bacon, pepperoni. Yeah, I find all other alternatives for those things. I truly do. I'm just checking my oven here. Oh. Michael. Then I'll go for temperature. I'll come and change it back. So my oven is roughly ready. It's very heated, I can tell you that. So I'm gonna start putting the bread in the oven. And it's gonna bake for about 20 minutes. And when it's baked as well, it's gonna get a little bit higher than what you're seeing here. Right? Lovely. And I'm gonna put in, so these weren't as high as when we brought them across, but as you can see, they have risen much more, and they're gonna get a little bit bigger once they go into the oven. Look at that. And I'm just gonna set my timer. So this live was essentially the full process of me making bread. So you all got to see for those of you who stayed from start to finish, you all got to see the entire process. And when I say the entire process, me kneading the flour, me allowing it to raise, buttering the pans, putting it into the pans, allowing that to raise, and then the baking process. So I'm just gonna set my timer. Alright, so my timer is set, and we just have to wait 20 minutes so that you all could see it. I'll be right back. I just have to go do something with my daughter for like a minute, and I'll be right back. Okay. Right. So I've set my timer for 20 minutes and I'm gonna carry you all outside in the yard with me while we wait for the bread to bake. Right? We'll just unplug this. Yeah, so I'm gonna go outside in the yard just to be out of the heat or the amount of heat that is happening in the house right now as the oven is on. I'm right here. So yeah, you see what's happening here. Good. This is my outside broom. Yeah. So we're outside taking some fresh air while we wait for the bread to finish. Alright, so outside is very sunny today, so I'll just flip the camera for y'all to see. It's beautiful. We have beautiful weather today. Right? Yeah. So bring Michael. Bring the other phone for me so I'll see when the timer goes off, please. You're looking for your slippers? Right? So yeah. So it was nice actually being live this long with you all. I just went to get the other timer so that we could hear when the timer goes off to take off the bread out of the oven. But yeah, I was not sure. I know I wanted to go live today, but I wasn't sure what time I was gonna be able to go live. And then when the baby went to sleep, I said, okay, great opportunity to go live one time. And so yeah, it worked out pretty well because I got to be able to, show the entire process, which is not something that I've done before. In an entire life, I've either knead the flour earlier and just come and show me putting it in pans, but I've never actually done the process full. Yeah. Yeah, so that worked out really well. But like I was saying early on, now I'll kind of go through some of the comments to see if I missed any in terms of the response or me responding to comments. Someone said cook while you clean. Yes, I do that a lot. I cook while I clean a lot. Let me see what else. You ain't lying. Trinidad has some beautiful scenic spots. I'll go check them out. Yeah, so that was the person that said they were going to check out my husband's page. So, Mr. Mookie, bless you. Thank you very much. So, yeah, that is, that's it. So, we're just waiting for that bread to finish baking. And then I have some other things to go finish doing. Bring our wife some now. Making the movies. Good job. Whoa. You have a bunch of family in the States? Yeah, I have family in the States. I have family in Canada. I have family, yeah, in both places. I do. They are spread across different areas though. And they come to Trinidad very often. Well, they have been coming to Trinidad very often lately. It used to be like 2-3 years before we see them, but they would you ever want to come live here? I'm not sure. But I do want to come and possibly vacation there. I'm not sure about living per se. I don't know what the future holds, but I can tell you that I want to come and vacation there. My children also want to come, see snow and that kind of thing. So yeah, but it's something that we are possibly working on to be able to come travel and vacation, see the family up there, because the family would usually come here. But yeah, to be able to go see them, definitely just vacation. Yeah, my family that lives in the States, they come here to vacation often. So like they have been here, if I'm not mistaken, could be like twice already for the year, twice or 3 times, possibly 3 times already for the year. And then I have some family, the same family, they are actually coming to get married in Trinidad, well, Tobago next year. So yeah, Mr. Muki, I'm trying to make my way out there for good. Oh, so you live in Trinidad right now, or you live in the States and um, you're gonna live out there? So yeah, it's something that we wanna do. Um, oh my God, okay. The children are there right now. I live in the States looking to live out there. Out there where? In Trinidad? You're looking to live out in Trinidad? Because you're saying you live in the States right now, but are you looking to live permanently in the States or come to Trinidad and live? Yeah. I'm looking to come to Trinidad, get a wife, buy some land, start some businesses. Oh, you're looking to come to Trinidad to live. Okay, I understand. It's nice living out there. Yeah, Trinidad is beautiful. But once you start working and stuff, it's like you have to intentionally make time to do the things that persons will do as a vacation, like go to the beach and that kind of thing. You wanna go wash it out? Let me kiss it. Yeah. So yeah, you have to intentionally plan to do those things, because once you start working, it's just gonna be work, especially if you're starting out a new business. You're gonna need to dedicate a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy, a lot of resources to building a business and building a brand. Because I'm telling you, it took me. I've been in the beauty industry for the last 12 years, right? So I've been doing makeup for the last 12 years, and I've been doing hair for roughly 6 years, right? I started off with makeup, and it took me a while. Hi, thank you, Pretty Hale, for the gift. Pretty Haley, thank you for the gift. So yeah, oh, thank you so very much. So I had to intentionally, well, my husband and I, we had to intentionally, spend a lot of resources behind our businesses. And my husband, I can tell you, was one of my first my husband is my biggest investor when it comes to my businesses. And when I say investor, he invests his money, he invests his time, he invests his resources, his energy, and I'm super grateful for it. because over the years we have built a business or a partnership together, because with him doing photography and videography, I do makeup for some of his clients, you know. So the businesses kind of work hand in hand, and it's something that we enjoy doing together. But it's something that you have to intentionally know or plan what to do. Oh, thank you. I've never seen a gift like that before. Thank you, pretty Haley. Yeah, so I would say building a business is ideal. Um, but it does take a lot of time and a lot of resources. Thank you for the thumbs up, Haley. And you know, it's we help each other. We really work with each other, and when I say work with each other, it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of the fruits of the spirits in order to work with each other. Real talk. Teamwork makes the dream work. Resources are easy to get in America. Yeah, it is, but in Trinidad it's a lot harder to get resources reasonable. And you guys own land out there. You want me to indulge in too much information now? And I'm not gonna indulge in that right now. I'm not going to indulge. Let me just say that God has blessed us. Yeah, so the fruits of the spirit, yeah, you have to, man, look, I'm just trying to see if it's cheaper to buy or build when I move out there. I know that, but you know, obviously for security reasons, it depends on what you're trying to do. If it says you are trying to buy, I would say if you're trying to buy land to build your home and your business on the same platform, depending on where you go and the type of business that you have, that will be dependent on your business and, you know, the budget that you're working with. It can be done though, depending on the type of business that you have. Yeah, the baby teething, yeah. Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, you can it depending on what you're looking for. If you're looking to have your business and your house separate, then I would say possibly even renting a space on, depending on the type of business that you have or want to get into. So it all depends on what you're looking for and the type of business that you're looking to get into. Yeah, so baby's a little more cranky than usual. He is very quiet, generally, but he's teething. Oh, thank you, pretty Haley. These gifts are cracking me up. Truly, it is. Yeah. So, it depends on what you're looking to do. Because my businesses, I work from home. So I take clients by appointments. I do house calls for my clients because I'm into beauty. I could flex that way, so to speak. Thank you for the joystick. I could flex that way, you know. So yeah. I am waiting for my bread. It has like 2 more minutes. Pretty Haley, you are being really generous today and I love it. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, I do, and that's why I say I work from home. I work from home. So I could do that. I have the space at home to facilitate that. Back. Alright, so I'm gonna check my bread. Let's go check the bread and see what we do. I know that's nice, able to run a business and work from home. It is. It truly is. Come, Michael. Alright, so we are in the kitchen. Let me see what's going on with the bread. I'll give it like 10 more minutes.
Why?
Because it has to get a little more brown. Bring the blanket for me now, please. Bring the blankets. I'll hold it. Alright, so yeah, being able to run a business and work from home is nice. You're able to, you know, do things according to how you want to do it, and that works for me. That works for me. It works for my family, because during the time of shutdown, I built my business for the most part during that time, and also, you know, I homeschooled my son for that time with minimal help from the online schooling. But for the most part, he was like homeschooled to a point, and I'm planning to do my daughter the same thing. Oh, bring the phone for me. I have to set it for 5 more minutes. I forgot I needed to set the timer for 5 more minutes. It's getting really nice and brown though. So, backstory, right? Backstory. My degree that I hold is a sporting degree, right? Which means I did my degree at the UTT, the University of Trinidad and Tobago, and my specialization was sport for development and sports science. Now, throughout, I taught I butchered that name, I'm sorry. And I did my degree at UTT. This is making it like 5 years ago, right? And backstory is they taught us how to teach, because as in teach for schools. And when I say teach for schools, I mean they taught us how to teach children at a primary school level. So children from 5 all the way I would say to secondary school level in Trinidad, right? Which is roughly around 17 years old. And that is with teaching us how to teach children sports, right? And I took that knowledge and formatted it in such a way where I could teach preschoolers. And I watched my son's development, and I knew what I wanted to teach him, what I wanted him to learn. And what I did do is what I did do is I formulated things that would obviously, improve him and better him. And it worked for us. And so much so that when he actually started going to school, he was phenomenal. He knew how to, yeah, he knew how to do a lot of things the regular children didn't know how to do. And through that, I created books, kids preschool books that would, help in the process. So my husband is home. Let me just go greet him and I'll be right back. Yeah, 1 second, guys. Yeah, so, and authors. So my children books are actually available on PayHip. So if you check out the link in my bio on YouTube, you might see a link tree link or a PayHip link where you could purchase the book, download the PDF version of my book, for those who have children and is interested in that type of content and interested in that type of material. So yeah, so yeah, um so that's what we did. And it worked out. So I am actually gonna do the same thing with my daughter. She just soon, look daddy here, she just turned 3. I don't have any kids yet, lol, but that's beautifully able to teach and help kids. Yeah, so it worked out for us. And it isn't something that would work out for everyone because of how my schedule is, and because of how I take clients. I'm able to do that. I'm afforded the opportunity, thank God, to do that. So I'm gonna take you guys back inside to see the bread, because the timer 5 minutes passed, but I don't think I need 5 minutes more for the bread, right? Just put this. I'm gonna get my racks. Nice. They are beautiful. Look at that. Okay, so that's one down. So look at that bread. We have another one down. Another one. Yeah, that extra 5 minutes did that. Yeah, another one. It was a little bit too white when I saw it. When the 20 minutes was up, right? So I baked it at 400 degrees for 25 minutes. Another one. and the last one. Right, so I'm gonna put some margarine on the top of it. Right, I'm gonna take, I've never made bread before, but you definitely just inspired me to try it out. Yeah, you should. Perfect. That extra 5 minutes over. Yeah, so I'm just putting some butter on top of it, give it a really nice glaze. And then I'll flip the camera and show you all how it looks, right? If your bread gets too hard to the top, you simply need to put a wet cloth on top of it and it's going to soften up. Put a wet cloth on it for like 5 minutes and it's going to soften up. Right? So let me just flip the camera and show you guys what we're working with. Look at that! So we just made bread. Look at that. Beautiful. A whole collection of bread. Yes. Yeah. So you guys stayed for the entire bread making process. It took us 2 hours and 40 minutes to do it, and it was indeed a pleasure being live with you guys today. Thank you all so very much for those who stayed throughout the whole thing. I really appreciate it. And now my husband is home, so I'm going to have some family time. So for those of you who enjoyed this live and want to see much more lives like this, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.